everything.
King L Bay, what's the name? So I want to let the people know today.
Well, you know, we want to talk about things that's going on in and around the state of Ohio. A couple of Supreme Court rulings over the red light, ticket cameras, other traffic violations that minorities have been privy to be placed in situations where we shouldn't be, and it's an order that throughout this state that we be stopped, seized, and searched based on a non-violent infraction that's not even found under the criminal rules and procedures in Ohio. Period. Driving an automobile without an operator's license is not a criminal offense. As a matter of fact, to charge one with an offense for not having a state permit is a criminal violation in itself under 18 U.S.C. Section 242. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in several federal cases, one in Kent versus Dole, that a private citizen such as us, who is non-commercial, we are not permitted or have to carry an operator's license issued by any Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
No doubt.
These are some of the things that we have to overcome in our daily bread. We've been taught to believe that we need an operator's license to travel throughout the United States. The supporting case laws from the U.S. Supreme Court and federal district courts and federal courts of appeals will establish that what we saying is the correct way to go. If anybody want to challenge the U.S. Supreme Court, we welcome them. That go for any Bureau of Motor Vehicles in this country, any police officer, any person acting under the color of state law. We will sit down with you and we'll read the law with you as long as it takes until you get it what the Supreme Court means, which is the highest authority in this country. Feel free to contact us at any time, any official, any senator, any legislation, any law that was passed that want to challenge the U.S. Supreme Court, I will take you to the Supreme Court.
Gotcha. So what you got to say about that, Brother King L Bay?
The issue here is a lot of us don't. What we have to understand when we dealing with law, we got to understand our rights. I think there's too much of us in the community who are ignorant to what our rights are. So we go in and we just submit to their jurisdiction. We don't know what to say, how to perform under the pressure, and a lot of times it comes with duress and anxiety that builds up, trying to get in their courtroom and stress your issues. A lot of times when you get pulled over, the officer automatically wants you to show a driver's license, a permit to drive under Class D, and we have to understand that you're not if you're not using that car for commerce or any kind. You ain't picking up fares, you ain't dropping people off, then you're driving under the automobile. And the Supreme Court already validated that. But you have these state courts and these district courts that don't want to recognize what the Supreme Court already ruled on. So then we go into court, we get adjudicated, we plead guilty. Now you get 2 or 3 or more of those, and now you serving jail time over a right. And a lot of times they're taking our rights and turning them into crimes. And then we get convicted on rights that you already had. And
right.
So
what's the remedy? What's the remedy, y'all? Which one of y'all want to tackle that?
I think the remedy is that we have to know what our rights are. I think the general public have to be more aware of what the rights are. It's already case law that's evident. That states what the Supreme Court already ruled upon. I don't think there should be no more issues with these state courts. I think the public have to start standing upon their rights and understanding what it is, because a lot of times you getting fined, they charge you with a crime,
right?
And they asking you the state. They say that the state is the injured party.
Right.
I didn't drive into the. I didn't see me black the state eye. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do no thing to the state to harm the state whatsoever. But they taking your rights and turning it into a crime, and they convict and making it a conviction, and then they turn around and say, okay, you got 3 to 4 multiple driving without a license. It's people I know that got license suspended indefinitely. Can't even drive. Next time you get behind the wheel, you going straight to jail.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Your driving privileges are terminated. You get what I'm saying? Because you got multiple drivers driving with no license. Come on, man. You know, people. I think for us, the public, we need to start educating ourselves, and I think it starts with education.
Well, definitely that. But I mean, like when you go to court, you know, what are some of the procedures that you would use to?
You got to file a motion to suppress.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's one of the things you have to definitely jump on, a motion to suppress. You also can file like a affirmative plea, and when you file in your affirmative plea, you're going to that's to help you destroy the prosecution. Anything that they have, they trying to use against you, and you can use case law within that. A lot of times they treat us under this color of law, under this fictitious practice, and they get us under there, and we don't know what's going on, and they adjudicate us. So it's all sorts of remedies, man, and I think
another one challenge the subject matter jurisdiction.
Yeah, we can. It's so many ways just to go in there and deal with that issue, but I think you have to have some type of understanding of what you're dealing with, the law. I can name a whole bunch of motions I done filed. I filed depositions. That's when you asking the person or the officer or the witnessing person to state certain facts that you can take into court, and the judge will order where you can hold the depositions, or you can file that. I will also file. Let me see. Most of the time, I file under criminal rule 16H. You want to use that audio, video evidence, and then under that's 16B, A and B under that criminal rule where you can ask for all the documents. Then H, you can ask for more documents, audio, video recordings.
Right. And it's all under your discovery.
Right. Your writ of discovery or your motion for discovery, however you want to address it. And then you want to file on the criminal rule, I think it's E, where you want to know what the prosecution planning on how he's going to use evidence in the court, what evidence he's going to use, so that you will be aware on how to address that issue when you come to it within the bodies of the courtroom. A lot of times, man, we have to know the law and make them. We got to know these officers' code of conduct. They have a code of conduct.
True.
And they have to abide by that. It explains to them their philosophy on how to deal with the general public. And these codes of conducts are in place so that these officers have a way of thinking and how to address the public. When they don't even know these codes of conduct, they're out of character.
Right.
So I think we can address some more issues. And we have some more remedies. And I think Kwezu can touch a little more better on some of the other issues.
I know he over here doing his thing. What you
I'm just taking down some notes. Just a few brief things that you got to prepare for in any civil or criminal case. But for most African Americans and minorities under a certain poverty guideline level must realize certain aspects of law more than other citizens. One, you got to realize first of all that a traffic stop is non-criminal.
True.
It's not found under Criminal Rule 29 as the court would lead you to believe, because you got to file motions under Criminal Rule 29 and so forth to get discovery. because there's no rules under 4510 for discovery.
Right.
So we in the wrong court already starting out. You have to compel the court to establish the injured party again. A complaint or summons starts with an injured person, not a corporation. So we never really get that established. There usually a plea deal made, or some of the attorneys that we hire never really bring out the facts. 3, traffic violations are non-specific rules of law. If you ask the judge, is this a criminal case or is this a civil case? He say it's non-specific.
Or you say it's quasi-criminal.
Right, or he say it's semi-criminal, and he can't even establish what's quasi. What's the quasi-criminal intent? Because you went to the store or you went to shopping without an operator's license. Show me what the criminal intent was. Was you going to kill somebody or was you going to rob somebody? That's two different things. If you use your vehicle to commit a crime, then you come under Rule 29. Number 4, the Supreme Court has ruled that the state police cannot stop, search, and seize your vehicle without some kind of due process. They just up and do it, and we never check into these officers' background to see, is this a pattern or practice of conduct.
You know, a lot of times we allow them to do it. We don't say no, or we consent.
Right, because a lot of minorities already feel threatened in everyday society by police because of the history of the police and what they are trained to do to minorities. It's all about the minority. We don't really have a court set up to protect our constitutional rights. That's all been a big facade anyway.
Right.
Most cases that you see adjudicated by the Supreme Court, only 1% might be for a minority out of the millions of people in the world at large. So we basically got to set up a form or some jurisdiction to protect our constitutional rights from these agents of the state. And we have to do that by enforcing federal laws. Now, another way I defeated several traffic cases was by subpoenaing in the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. And they established that they wasn't the injured party. Well, why do I need your state permit to travel along the public highways? A state permit is what it is, so you can act under commerce. They are forcing people or making them believe that they're acting under commerce. We are not using our automobiles, driving down the public highways, making revenue.
Right.
The Supreme Court, as I stated, in those established who needs an operator license and who just need a regular ID.
So do you think you're at least required to have some type of ID while traveling?
Of course. I think that would be the smart thing to do anyway. I mean, what if you didn't have ID and you get into an accident?
Right.
Or you were accidentally killed and nobody couldn't identify the body? Right. You need some form of identification regardless of what the state says. I mean, they just people enforcing some laws that was already regulated. A lot of people get away from the cause for the stop. The reason they get away from the cause of the stop because of what they find in the car later. You end up fighting what they found in the car rather than what you were stopped for.
Exactly.
Which they don't even have jurisdiction to even stop you. We got to study the law. When you go to when you actually go to court, you got to take the Supreme Court with you. You have to learn how to put the Supreme Court on the witness stand. You being tried as a defendant, the Supreme Court stated this, and you have to let the prosecutor or judge rebut the Supreme Court. And then you say, well, if y'all want to rebut the Supreme Court, I feel fine with that because I'm not on trial. I'm not on trial. This is my fictitious devil on trial that y'all trying. Again, it's about studying the law. Studying what you're charged with. I mean, we study our bank accounts and our time cards and anything that brings us money. We study that, but we got to study what the law really is. Every case under Criminal Rule 47 involving traffic cases, you got to file a motion to suppress. So I don't see why they don't have a separate rule for the automobile traffic laws. So we still got to go back to the criminal rules to establish some in traffic court.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all about filing your motions. You got to remember one thing: the court work for you. You own the court. We are the people. We established the court to settle disputes. Now, we've given them so much power that they are creating laws that's in violation of the 14th Amendment. And a lot of states, courts, and public officials don't realize minorities' rights because they still don't believe that the 14th Amendment was adjudicated for African Americans.
Well, wasn't the 14th Amendment for, or actually it created a different type of citizen, like not like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson and them. It's not the same type of citizenship, is it? Or juristic, yeah.
Well, the 14th Amendment means life, liberty, and property for a particular group. Now they claim it was erected because of the Dred Scott issue. It's right there in the record. Justice Taney stated that he will never let another African American go through what Dred Scott went through. Even though he was free, but he still was not free. He still couldn't enjoy the life, liberty, and property of other ethnic groups. And a lot of black people confuse the colored people, or if they consider themselves a Negro, or just none of those entities. They still confused about who white people are. Most white people don't go to federal court. The only fair-skinned people you see in federal court may be a Jew. And when we see a fair-skinned person, we assume, well, how are those white people getting justice? They not. There are some white people under the poverty guideline that we'll never even understand. Those are not the whites or Caucasians that you see in federal and state courts getting adjudicated. Only certain ones that look like them get adjudicated. We have to realize what the law really is and who it's set for. So here we are fighting minor misdemeanor traffic violations, what they classify as M1, M2, or how many times you get caught with driving without a license. And now they want to destroy your livelihood and your character until you begin to fight back with the U.S. Constitution. Like I said before, I welcome any police officer to state that the Supreme Court is wrong. I ain't heard one say it yet.
Heard that. So is there anything else?
I think I'm going to interject on this last. I think the one thing that we have to understand when we're dealing with this law, I think a lot of us sit back and we think that this law just going to go in here and get rid of the problem. I think a lot of us, we'll pick up a book and then we don't legally or sit down and strategize how to deal with this issue, because it's more than dealing with law itself in their courtroom. You have to know how to address issues. You got to learn how to demand and stand on your rights. But one of the techniques I learned, I become a private investigator. I'm snooping in everything. I'm calling. I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm trying to get a lot of try to connect with a lot of resources where I can get valuable information to substantiate anything within the body of that courtroom. I try to do enough prying and pulling to really get what I need so I can go in there and win my case. Law is not going to win it alone. You can go in there and recite stuff, but the judge disregard a lot of stuff. You can file motions, they're disregarded. You'll get in the courtroom, and they won't even hear nothing you filed.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you do in a situation like that? And a lot of us need to know what our rights are so we can stand on that and we can call the judge on the carpet. You denying the due process.
Well, and
another issue of the matter is, I want to add this in. Another issue of the matter is we need to stop relying on the white man to represent us in their courtroom. Because enough of watching the commercials or what have you, they have these lawyers or whatever who supposed to represent us, but they go in there and represent us on the wrong facts. Or, they allow the courts to violate our rights. The thing of the matter is, instead of relying on someone to represent us, we probably need to understand the process ourselves by initiating the process by making filings with the court so that we know or have some better understanding as to how to approach the courts, how to address them, and raise certain issues of the matter. And maybe that'll help us as a people better understand what law is about than to give our money over to someone who's a stranger who can care less about our situations.
Well, another thing about a remedy, we have to go ahead and get ready to go heads up with the local officials, with the police departments and the prosecutor's office, which the prosecutor's office is the nucleus of our problem.
Mm-hmm.
They are trained attorneys designed to bring resolution to every police stop, and that's what we have to navigate through and bring a stop to that process. That's a process. We have to learn how to remove state court cases to federal court. State court is still operated and supplied by the Ku Klux Klan, which we can't see them anymore, but the closer you get to the law, you will begin to feel the vibe and destruction of our past. Federal court was invented or erected in 1888, 10 years after the 14th Amendment was eradicated. Federal court was invented for one purpose only: to stop the state court from exercising law against African Americans. That's what we have: the 1866 Civil Rights Act, the 1871 Force Act, which is the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act,
right,
which is now Title 42, 1983, where officers acting under the color of state law. We have to learn how to remove these cases under 28 U.S.C. 1441A, B, C, or D, whichever class of diversity of citizen that you fall under. A person can remove any defendant can remove his case from state court to federal court under that statute only under one instance: when you are deprived of some constitutional right from the First to the 15th Amendment.
There it is. So we're going to end it there. Everybody say peace.
Peace out.
Peace.
Yes, sir.